My husband's sister moved in with us after a tough breakup, and it almost broke up our marriage. Now she's back with her ex, and what happens next is unbelievable. I never imagined I'd be sharing my story here, but I'm seeking some impartial advice. Prepare yourself. This is quite the tale. My husband Mark, age 32, and I, age 30, have been blissfully married for 5 years and together for 8. Our paths crossed in college, me, a junior majoring in education, and him, a senior in computer science. We fell deeply in love in what felt like a fairy tale romance and moved in together shortly after my graduation. A year later, we were married and soon welcomed our 2 wonderful children, Lily, aged 4, and Ethan, aged 2. After Lily's birth, I decided to leave my job as a kindergarten teacher to focus on raising our children, while Mark pursued his career as a software engineer at a burgeoning tech startup. Though we've faced our share of financial hurdles, we've always found a way to make ends meet. Mark hails from a tightly knit family and is particularly close to his younger sister, Amy, 28. Understanding his protective nature over Amy was part of the deal when we married, but I didn't fully grasp the extent of its influence until much later. Amy and her college sweetheart, Tom, 29, seemed like the epitome of a perfect match, always in sync and full of surprises for one another. Their engagement last year brought joy to us all. As Amy's chosen maid of honor, I dedicated months to helping her orchestrate the wedding of her dreams. However, about 6 months ago, their idyllic plans crumbled. Amy stumbled upon devastating evidence of Tom's infidelity with several women over the last 2 years. She discovered the betrayals through incriminating messages on his phone during an unsuspecting moment when he was showering. Faced with confrontation, Tom made no attempts to deny his actions. He simply grabbed his belongings and walked out. The heartbreak was too much for Amy, leaving her unable to remain in their shared apartment, a place now haunted by shattered dreams and incomplete wedding arrangements. In response, Mark stepped up as the protective brother he is, inviting Amy to move into our guest room to help her heal and regroup. This is when the tension began. Mark invited Amy to stay with us without consulting me first. Initially, I empathized deeply with Amy. Anyone would feel shattered discovering their fiancé of 7 years had been unfaithful. Expecting her stay to be brief, I agreed, imagining it would last a month or 2 at most. As days turned into months, however, my patience began to wear thin. Amy, who works remotely as a graphic designer, became a constant presence at home. Initially, I valued her assistance with the kids, playing with Lily while I settled Ethan for his nap, or watching them so I could enjoy the rare luxury of solo grocery shopping. But soon, I noticed the complications Amy's stay brought along. Her belongings scattered everywhere became a common sight. Dirty coffee mugs in the sink, clothes draped over the living room furniture, and work materials taking over the dining table. I found myself perpetually cleaning up after her, in addition to my usual tasks of managing the kids and household chores. Amy's emotional turmoil also began to impact our home life. She frequently broke down at dinner, overwhelmed by memories of Tom and his betrayal. While I sympathized with her pain, it was challenging to keep our children shielded from these intense moments. Lily, curious and concerned, often asked why Aunt Amy was perpetually upset, leaving me struggling to explain the complexities of adult relationships to a 4-year-old. I approached Mark multiple times about these issues, but he seemed dismissive of my concerns. His responses were always along the lines of, "Amy's facing a tough period. We need to be there for her." Or, "It's only for a bit longer. She'll find her place soon." However, as time stretched on, Amy showed no signs of moving on or seeking her own space. The situation reached a tipping point during Lily's 4th birthday party. We had planned a simple celebration with family and a few close friends. Amy volunteered to bake the cake, a gesture I initially appreciated given everything else on my plate. Yet, on the morning of the event, I discovered her in the kitchen, overwhelmed and in tears amid a chaotic mix of flour, eggs, and ruined cake layers. Amy's attempt to bake a birthday cake for Lily fell apart when she saw a social media update showing Tom with his new girlfriend. The photos of them, happy and unbothered, plunged her into despair. Amid this chaos, I had to dash to a local bakery for a last-minute cake while soothing Lily, who was distressed by her aunt's tears on her special day. Throughout the party, Mark secluded himself with Amy in the guest room, leaving me to manage our guests and entertain the children single-handedly. It was both exhausting and frustrating, and resentment began to bubble within me. That evening, after our guests had departed and the children were asleep, I confronted Mark. I expressed my empathy for Amy but stressed how her extended stay was disrupting our family dynamics. I proposed that we assist Amy in finding her own apartment, even offering to help with her first month's rent to ease her transition. To my astonishment, Mark reacted defensively, accusing me of being selfish and lacking support. He argued that I couldn't comprehend the sibling bond and insisted he couldn't abandon Amy during her ordeal. Then, he revealed he had promised Amy she could stay as long as she needed, even up to a year, a decision he had made without my input. I was livid that he had taken such a significant step without considering its impact on our family. I argued that his unilateral decisions were unfair, especially since I was the one managing the daily challenges brought on by Amy's stay, from increased housework to the emotional toll on our kids. In response, Mark suggested that if I was struggling with the situation, perhaps I should take the children and stay with my parents until I resolved my issues with Amy. His suggestion left me stunned. It felt as though he was prioritizing his sister over his own wife and children. This situation had escalated beyond just Amy's needs. It was now a glaring issue of respect and consideration within our marriage. The following day, while Mark was at work and Amy occupied with errands, I decided to act. I packed bags for the kids and myself and left a note for Mark. In it, I explained that I was taking his advice to stay with my parents to reflect on our marriage and the implications of his prioritizing his sister's comfort over our family's well-being. It's been a week since that day. Mark has flooded my phone with calls and texts, swinging between apologies and accusations. Meanwhile, my parents have been a pillar of support, caring for the kids and providing me the space to think. Despite my love for Mark and the life we've built together, I'm torn, feeling deeply betrayed by his actions. Am I exaggerating my reaction to Amy's situation? Should I return home and attempt to resolve things? Or do these events reveal deeper issues in our marriage? A lot has transpired since I last wrote a month ago, and I am grateful for the support and advice from everyone. It has helped me view our situation more clearly and maintain my resolve. After spending 2 weeks at my parents', Mark agreed to a meeting, just the two of us, without Amy. We chose a quiet coffee shop, a spot laden with nostalgia from our college days, where we once shared many study dates. Entering the cafe was a poignant reminder of our shared history, filled with both sweet and bitter moments. Initially, the conversation was strained. Mark appeared exhausted, the dark circles under his eyes betraying his sleepless nights. Although part of me yearned to comfort him, I remembered the reasons for our meeting. During our discussion, it became apparent that the issue with Amy was just the tip of an iceberg. Mark admitted to feeling overwhelming guilt about Amy's situation. He had known about Tom's cheating for months, but had chosen not to tell Amy, believing it wasn't his place to intervene. When Amy finally learned the truth, Mark's guilt intensified, driving him to compensate by offering her boundless support. This confession stunned me. During our initial counseling session, Mark and I encountered a series of revelations. We recognized the patterns of poor communication and complacency that had crept into our relationship. The counselor introduced us to exercises designed to enhance active listening and clarify our expression of needs. Despite the discomfort, we both pledged to make a genuine effort. Just as we started to see improvement, a new complication emerged. Amy disclosed that she had reconnected with Tom and was contemplating giving their relationship another shot. She explained that they had been communicating and Tom had committed to therapy to address his issues. Amy was optimistic, suggesting that perhaps the breakup served as a necessary wake-up call. Mark's reaction was one of outright fury, feeling as though the turmoil and disruption were in vain if Amy simply returned to her unfaithful ex. This sparked a fierce argument between Mark and Amy, with Mark insisting that Amy was making a colossal mistake and Amy accusing him of trying to dominate her life. Amidst this chaos, I found myself mediating between the two, striving to shield my children from the escalating conflict. Lily ended up in tears, confused by the uproar, while Ethan, sensing the strain, began to cry uncontrollably. The episode highlighted that despite our progress, there remained significant challenges. Mark's protective instinct towards Amy was still problematic, and Amy's emotional reliance on our support was unresolved. I remain optimistic, focusing on the strides we've made, yet I can't shake the anxiety over Amy potentially reuniting with Tom. Questions loom. Will we be expected to integrate him into our lives again? What implications would this have for the advancements in our marital relationship? I'm committed to nurturing my bond with Mark, but recognize the necessity of establishing clear boundaries. Our next counseling session is tomorrow, and I intend to address my concerns regarding Amy's possible reconciliation with Tom. This ordeal has underscored the vital importance of advocating for myself and my family. I'm determined not to revert to being passive, yet I aim to handle these challenges with empathy and understanding. Striking a balance in these complex situations is challenging, and I'm still learning. I'll share more updates as new developments arise. Thank you all once again for your support and guidance. It truly means a lot. Update 2. It's been 2 more months since my last post, and I'm pleased to share that we've seen substantial improvements, though not without hurdles. Firstly, the good news: Amy has moved out. She found a modest studio apartment about 20 minutes away. It's simple, but it's her own space, and she's thrilled to be independent again. Mark and I assisted her with the move, setting up her new place. It was a mixed emotion day. We were relieved to reclaim our space, yet we realized how much we had adapted to her presence. The process wasn't smooth throughout. About a month ago, Amy was laid off from her freelance graphic design job due to budget cuts at her company, sparking a brief period of panic about her ability to afford her own place. Mark was inclined to let her stay longer, but I insisted we stick to our planned timeline. To support her, we helped Amy refresh her portfolio and connected her with friends in need of design services. Fortunately, she landed a position at a local marketing firm, which reaffirmed our moving out schedule. Regarding Amy and Tom, that chapter closed in a way none of us expected. Amy did meet with Tom to discuss their situation, but instead of rekindling things, she found the closure she needed. She recognized she deserved better than someone who had so deeply betrayed her trust. We all felt a surge of pride when she decisively told Tom she was moving forward with her life. Meanwhile, Mark and I have persisted with couples counseling, which has proven invaluable. We've honed our communication skills and now make a concerted effort to consider each other's viewpoints before decisions. Mark has become more inclusive in family matters, and I've grown more assertive in expressing my needs rather than suppressing my feelings until I reach my limit. A significant breakthrough occurred during a session where our counselor suggested a role reversal exercise. Mark had to envision himself in my situation, dealing with an unexpected family member's extended stay disrupting our lives. This exercise was revelatory for him, sparking an epiphany about the extent of my frustration during Amy's stay. Recently, we encountered another hurdle. Mark's parents became aware of Amy's move out and were displeased. They phoned us, criticizing Mark for seemingly abandoning his sister and insinuating that I had coerced him into making Amy leave. The call was fraught with tension, and I watched Mark wrestle with his inclination to defend our choices while not wanting to upset his parents. To my relief, Mark handled the situation with remarkable poise. He calmly clarified to his parents that Amy moving out was a collective decision made in everyone's best interest. He emphasized that while we cherish Amy, it was crucial for our immediate family's well-being and for Amy to gain independence. His parents were not entirely convinced, but they seemed to come to terms with his rationale. This episode highlighted Mark's personal growth. Previously, he might have yielded to his parents' demands, but this time, he steadfastly supported our joint decision. Meanwhile, I've begun to contemplate my future prospects now that I'm not continuously overseeing Amy's day-to-day life in our home. I'm exploring the idea of taking online courses to refresh my skills, considering a part-time return to work once Ethan begins preschool next year. Mark has expressed his full support for this plan, even proposing to adjust his work hours to assist with childcare. Although our life is not without its challenges, I feel that we are moving in the right direction. Our home has regained its tranquility, and there's a revitalized sense of partnership in our marriage. We remain dedicated to our counseling sessions and to further strengthening our relationship. I'm cautiously optimistic about what lies ahead. This ordeal, though tough, has ultimately fortified our family. We've gleaned significant insights on setting boundaries, enhancing communication, and prioritizing our marriage and children. Thank you all for your continued support and thoughtful advice. Update 3. It's been 6 months since my last post, and I'm delighted to share that our family has found a new, positive rhythm. Amy is flourishing in her newfound independence. She's doing well in her job and has recently started seeing a wonderful, responsible man she met on a work project. Amy now visits us for dinner weekly, and it's refreshing to enjoy her company without the undercurrents of resentment or obligation that once marred our relationship. Mark and I have continued with our counseling, though we've scaled it back to monthly check-ins. These sessions have significantly improved our communication patterns, and we've both become more adept at supporting each other. Mark has become more thoughtful about involving me in decisions impacting our family, and I've learned to voice my needs before they escalate. Personally, I embarked on online digital marketing courses 3 months ago. Balancing study with parenting has its challenges, but Mark's support has been unwavering. He's assumed greater household responsibilities and often takes the kids out over the weekends, allowing me focused time to study. It's invigorating to pursue something that benefits me directly, and I'm enthusiastic about the potential career opportunities this could create for our family. We encountered a temporary setback last month when Mark's employer hinted at possible layoffs. The uncertainty of potentially losing his job stressed us immensely, highlighting our financial vulnerability with a single income stream. This situation underscored the importance of my re-entry into the workforce. During that tense week, we prepared for the worst, discussing backup plans and updating our resumes. Thankfully, Mark retained his job, but the scare galvanized us to prioritize building our emergency savings. We've since trimmed non-essential expenses, redirecting those funds into savings each month. Our relationship with Mark's parents has gradually mended. Their recent visit allowed them to see our progress firsthand. They noted Amy's newfound happiness and confidence, which seemed to help them appreciate our decisions better. While there's still occasional tension, particularly when they suggest we should do more for Amy, Mark has become more proficient at establishing boundaries with them. This delicate balance has helped maintain peace and mutual respect within the family dynamics. Lily embarked on her kindergarten adventure this fall, marking a significant transition for our family. Initially anxious, she quickly adapted, forging new friendships and developing a fond affection for her teacher. Observing her growing independence is both joyous and poignant. Her school schedule has also allowed me more time to dedicate to my studies and to Ethan, who is currently in a clingy phase, missing his sister during the day. Reflecting on the past, I appreciate the challenges we've faced. They compelled us to address underlying issues in our marriage and family life that might have been overlooked otherwise. Though the journey was strenuous, it has brought us to a far healthier and happier state. Mark and I have rekindled the connection that originally drew us together, and our commitment to support each other's personal growth has never been stronger. I've gained invaluable insights on setting boundaries, advocating for myself, and the critical role of transparent communication in a marriage. I am proud of our progress and optimistic about what lies ahead. Naturally, challenges remain. Parenting, career management, and maintaining family relations are complex tasks, but I feel equipped with the necessary tools to tackle them alongside Mark. Thank you all for your support throughout this journey. Your advice and encouragement have been instrumental. To anyone navigating similar difficulties, persevere. It's challenging, but with dedication and open dialogue, overcoming these obstacles and emerging stronger is entirely achievable.